What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about other factors out there, what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends very soon in just 2 days. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the market. Looking at NIO, we have this nice looking double bottom that's starting to develop here. But I would like to see if NIO could try to hold this low down here. We are going to see a small dip from this point. And then once we get this dip, we'll be watching to see where we base at before we try to get a bounce. Now, for the bounce to be very big, or if it's going to be a small bounce, or if it fails, is going to be very dependent on deliveries coming out in just a couple of days. The year is about to end, guys. We're just a couple of days away from that. And once that data comes out, it's going to be causing a very, very big move. NIO has announced that they are expecting Q4 deliveries to be between 72 and 75,000 units, showing insane growth on a year-over-year basis. It's also going to be a very, very big improvement in their overall quarters, one of the strongest quarters of all time for them. And it's also going to be consisting of massive growth for what we saw for the entire year. So very, very awesome stuff. I think it's very, very bullish if they do achieve this. And the numbers should be coming out in just a couple of days after the new year. Now, on top of this, just know that NIO's new cost, their new low cost, Onvo L60 EV is shining in its debut with 20,000 plus deliveries in just 100 days. As you guys can see, we're seeing a very, very big surge in their deliveries after their market debut, and the L60 SUVs are, already making a very significant impact. They also announced that it took about 100 days for the L60 deliveries to reach 20,000 total deliveries, and its first full month sales, over about 4,300 L60 models were sold. That's about a fifth of their sales in total for the month of October, and the sales are only projected to grow. So, with this new sub brand and with everything else that they're trying to do for the end of the year, I'm hoping we see a big surge in those sales. If that really helps them, the share price could see a very, very nice move after we get a bit of a dip. So I do think we could dip a bit, but then hopefully as the deliveries come out, this is a symmetrical structure. That's what I'm really hoping for. So what does that mean? Notice that if you take where my cursor is right here, look at the left side and the right side of it. It looks very, very symmetrical. This side resembles like this side right here. This resembles like this move right here. And then like this big downside move could be very, very symmetrical to move to the upside. So that's what I'm really hoping for if we truly see some good deliveries. So I see the potential setups for that, but we'll see about that. Goldman Sachs gave NIO a sell rating, but this was over a month ago. We haven't gotten too many analyst ratings since then. On top of that, the price price ratio is very flat right now, not really doing a whole lot. And we tend to see more volatility around 1 p.m. and also during the second to last hour of the day. Besides that, there's nothing else that's too crazy that's coming out, at least for NIO. I also want to say that NIO has about 41 million in volume. Not bad. It is starting to go up just slightly. NIO also announced that they opened their 2900th NIO Power Swap station in China. They aim to continuously expand and enhance their charging and swapping network capabilities. So I hope that this improves as time goes on. Besides that, when it comes to our economic data, just know that we have the Chicago PMI coming out tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow being Monday, December 30th, 2024. Besides that, there's nothing else that's too crazy that's coming out. As far as Tuesday goes, there's nothing else that's too significant. Then we have the New Year on Wednesday, so just keep that in mind. Also, guys, because of New Year's, there's nothing crazy coming out for earnings. It's all going to be very quiet. And then the market still has a lot of fear that's building. We'll have to see if this shifts or not. So, what is my view for NIO? In my opinion, I think the daily chart looks weaker. We got this big rejection off our 50 EMA, and there is this gap to fill in the daily back down to about 4.4. So I do anticipate a little bit more downside as the most likely possibility. So we're going to likely see this rejection right here that could drag us a little bit lower. But like I said before, this structure is very symmetrical. So I'm hoping that this move down here is like this move over here, and then we get that nice little bounce once this like accumulates for a nice looking rebound. Looks like a nice double bottom, so I'm hoping that this does end up playing out. A break of our 200 EMA on the 4-hour would be a bullish signal that would help to start to soar. So we'll see about that. With that being said, there is an accumulation structure here, and then as long as we make a higher low here, this could try to bounce. But what I think is going to happen is this. There's a little bit more downside left because when you look at the structure, right, on a symmetrical basis, it does suggest that we could be tipping close to like 4.4. And also, We have a 4-hour rejection. The daily is looking weaker, and then we have this like gap to fill down here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we rebound a bit, then start dipping down to fill this gap. But once these gaps are filled, we should be looking for a rebound off the much lower fours, and that could help this bounce once we get closer to deliveries. Deliveries could be very big, so we'll see what that leads to. Tesla also has deliveries this week, so I think that we might see a little push in the share price. I think that it's going to attempt a rebound at least to start things off, back up to about that 440 area. We could even see 443 if that breaks, but I think there's going to be a small rebound. If it rejects here, we could be dipping back down to 432. If that fills us, we could be dumping lower. If this holds, we could attempt a rebound, but overall, I think that we're making lower highs here, and this may just continue to make another lower high before it starts to dip. If we lose the support down here, we're looking for essentially the 430 area. If that fills us, we're looking for essentially 420. So if that fails us, there's going to be a much bigger dip coming all the way down towards these lower levels. We have a lower high right over here. I think that there's a very, very good chance that this may continue on this downtrend, but we'll have to see depending on deliveries. So technically, it is looking a little bit weaker as we're making a lower high. But whether or not we get a rebound and then we continue to dump depends on deliveries, or if we get a rebound, consolidate, and start bouncing, that's also going to depend on deliveries. I think tomorrow we rebound a bit to the 4.4 area, then we might consolidate. And whether we get a big breakout or a dump is going to depend a lot on other factors. For ES is also looking a little bit weaker. We're making lower highs right over here. I do think it's going to attempt a rebound attempt to get back up to 60.50, and then we'll have to see if we reject off this. I do want to say that we are making lower highs, so although it may rebound a bit, we'll be watching to see if we can take out these highs or not. If we break these highs, we're going to be going back up closer to all-time highs. If we come short off like 60.50 to 60.60 and we don't break that, then we could be turning back down, making a move back down to the lower 6,000s or below. So watch for a rebound attempt and then a potential rejection. If that's the case, we have a left shoulder here ahead and then maybe like a right shoulder that's forming, and that could lead to a very, very big dip. For Nvda, we're forming a nice looking rejection structure. So notice that we pumped and rejected, pumped and rejected, pumped and rejected, pumped and rejected many, many times. This is showing some weakness. I do anticipate a small rebound attempt for about that 138 area. We need to get back above 142 to turn bullish, but as long as we come short, this could hit that, then reject and start dipping back down to about 135. For Bitcoin's on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs and lower lows. Um, as you guys can see, this looks a little bit weaker off this head and shoulders. So if we end up losing this support around 92,500, we could be dumping all the way down towards 90,000. If we try to break past 96,000, this could turn back up, but otherwise we're just making lower highs. This could continue to fall the way it is. So I see a left shoulder here, a head, and then a right shoulder that's forming. This could lead to a little bit more downside. So give this the time it needs. For other factors out there, we have QQQ and NQ. The QQQ is making lower highs right over here. I do want to say that there's going to be an attempt to bounce right here going into tomorrow. So I'm going to be looking for a test of 524 or so. But the trend is bearish. We had a high here, came down, made a lower high, came down, made a lower high, came down. So it's making lower highs so far. And we'll try to get back up here. If we break 532, we turn back to bullish. If we come short near 530, we will turn back down. I'm favoring that. It's going to push a little bit higher to about 525 or so, maybe above that. But there might be a rejection again because the 4 hour is looking weaker. So because of the lower highs that are being made, it might push for like 524 or above. Then it may start turning back down. So just keep that in mind. For NQ is making lower highs right over here. We could attempt to rebound for 21,836 or so. Then if we hit that, we could reject and start tipping back down to 21,500. We're making lower highs, so we'll be watching to see how this ends up going, and then watch and see what kind of reaction we get right here around 21,836. So look for a rebound attempt. If we get that rejection, we're dipping back down. We'll just have to see how it goes. For Aapl is also looking at some very, very interesting moves as well. We're seeing a little bit of weakness as well. It's been developing. Let me just say that with Aapl slowing down, I think that we're going to be watching this very, very key 255 area just to see if that holds or not. So watch that very, very closely. Um, I think that we've done a decent job. Sorry for the delay. I think my screen froze for a second. Sorry about that, guys. But we're looking for essentially that 255 area to see if you reclaim it or not. If not, we could be looking for a dip to 251. So I think we pop a bit and then make our move down to about 251 as the most likely possibility. Just keep that in mind. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're seeing something very similar. This is on a downtrend. The 4 hours looking weaker. I want to see it reclaim at 223.5. Otherwise, there's going to be a risk of it rejecting. Could be making a lower high here before it comes back down. So look for a 223 retest and a rejection. For coin, the same thing is we're getting rejections right here as well. We want to see it reclaim 270. Otherwise, we could continue to dip back down for about 257. Amazon is making lower highs right now. With the reversal structure, we need to try to reclaim 226. Otherwise, we could be making a lower high and then start dipping back down to 221. For Meta, we could be also on a bit of a downtrend right here. We're trying to push back up to about 601.78. If this rejects off this range, we could be dipping back down to like 594. So watch and see what kind of reaction we get. For Microsoft, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We could attempt a rebound, but it depends if we could get back above 431 or not. We have a tough resistance off our 200 EMA here. Then we could be turning back down towards these lower levels. For Google, Google's also looking at like a head and shoulders like structure that's developing. There's this left shoulder here, there's a head, then there's a right shoulder. If we end up losing 192, we could be dumping back down towards 188. So we'll be watching to see what kind of reaction we get off of this. So look for a dip back down to 192.13, and if that fails us, we could be dumping lower. But that's all we're essentially seeing for the time being. For the VIX, we are holding up quite well. I do want to say there's this gap to fill down here, so it is possible it gets a small dip if the market rebounds, but then be careful because the VIX could dip a bit only to bounce again, and the market is still at risk of more downside looking at the structures, especially because SPY still has that head and shoulders, so I'm still a little bit concerned about that if you look at the 4-hour. So unless we break these highs up here, if we can't do that, what's going to likely happen is we push it but then reject and just continue to dip lower. That's a very, very probable possibility. Anyways, that's it for my video. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a good rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. As far as NIO goes, this is going to likely dip a little bit lower to about 4.4, but there is a symmetrical structure that suggests that the upside could be coming, but that's going to depend on delivery, so we'll be waiting for that to give you guys another update. So thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you guys very soon in the next one, and peace out.